everyone, I hope you're ready for part 2 of Beauty and the Beast. Alright, it's coming from Classic Fairy Tales, retold and illustrated by Michael Foreman. Part 2. Beauty was determined and nothing would dissuade her. I am young, but I wouldn't want to live the rest of my life knowing I had caused the death of my father. When the dreaded day came, the two elder sisters rubbed their eyes with onions to make a few tears when they said goodbye to Beauty. The three brothers wept with open hearts. Beauty remained calm so that she wouldn't make them feel worse. They arrived at the palace as night fell, and the merchant saw the same guiding light through the trees. Once again the horse settled down in the stable, and the merchant led his daughter to the great hall. They found the same table spread with fine food, but this time 2 places were set, not 1. Neither father nor daughter had any appetite, but Beauty thought it might anger the beasts if they declined the food entirely, and served first her father and then herself. She thought, perhaps the beast provided such a spread because he wants to fatten me up before he eats me. Then they heard a heavy tread and the creaking of stairs. Beauty shuddered when she saw the beast. When he asked her if she had come of her own free will, she answered, "Yes." And what she hoped was a brave, steady voice, although her blood froze and her whole body trembled. The beast bowed his head slightly. "I am very touched," he said, and turning to the merchant added, "And you, dear sir, must leave tomorrow and never come back. Good night, Beauty." With another bow to both of them, he was gone. The merchant hugged his daughter. "Leave me here," he pleaded. "I am half dead with terror already. Leave me and save yourself." "No, father," insisted Beauty. "You will go home tomorrow morning, and heaven will protect me." Then they went to bed, and although both feared they would not sleep a wink, as soon as their heads touched the pillows, their eyes closed. Beauty dreamed of a beautiful lady who said, "Your bravery has pleased me, Beauty. You will be rewarded." In the morning she told her father of her dream, and it cheered him slightly as his horse carried him sadly home. Beauty feared for the whole day that the beast would eat her up that evening. Determined not to spend her last hours on earth moping and feeling sorry for herself, she began to explore the palace. Every room was grand and beautiful, and then she came to a door marked Beauty's Room. When she entered, the splendor took her breath away. Around 3 of the walls were big bookcases, and in front of high windows overlooking the park stood a golden harp and many volumes of music. Why would the beast prepare such a wonderful room with so many books and so much music for someone he plans to eat this evening? She wondered to herself. She took a book from a bookcase and gasped at the title. On the cover, written in gold letters, were the words, "Beauty. Ask for whatever you wish. Here you are, mistress of everything." "All I want is to see my father and family again," she thought sadly. Suddenly, reflected in the glass door of the bookcase, appeared her father returning home and being greeted by her sniveling sisters and hugged by her weeping brothers. Then the image disappeared. "How thoughtful of the beast to show me my father's safe return," thought Beauty. "Perhaps he is not bad at all." At noon, she found a delicious lunch on the long table and sweet music played all through the palace, but without any sign of musicians. When Beauty next sat at the table, it was evening, and she could hear the beast roaring in a distant part of the palace. She trembled when the clock struck 9. She heard the creaking of the stair, and his shadow fell across the food. "May I watch you eat your supper, Beauty?" he asked quietly. Of course," replied Beauty politely, but with a shaking voice. "I don't wish to frighten you," said the beast. "If my company offends you, you only have to tell me, and I will leave." The beast paused and looked away for a moment. "You must think I am very ugly." "Well, yes, I do," said Beauty, for she could not lie. Then she saw the pained look on his face and added, "But I think you are kind too." "I am ugly, and I am a fool," said the beast. "A fool to think anyone could see beyond this terrifying face." "A real fool would never admit that," replied Beauty. "I think your wild body hides a good heart. When I think of how thoughtful you have been, you do not frighten me." "A good heart I may have," said the beast, "but I am still a monster." "I like you more with that ugly face of yours than I would if you had a handsome face and wicked ways," Beauty assured him. The beast seemed pleased with this and sat back deep in thought. Beauty finished her supper, feeling almost comfortable in the beast's company, until he suddenly said, "Beauty, will you marry me?" Fear seized her heart. To refuse him might send him into a monstrous rage, but to accept was horrifying too, and she could not tell a lie. "I'm sorry, beast, but no," she said, her voice shaking again, fearing that this night might after all be her last. Instead of a roar of anger, the poor beast merely sighed mournfully and said, "Then good night, Beauty," and left the room, looking back at her again and again before he closed the door behind him. Beauty listened to the mournful moans getting fainter as he made his way through the lavish, lonely rooms of his palace. She went to bed feeling deeply sorry for the beast. How sad to appear so ugly and be so good within. And so the weeks and months passed. Every evening the beast came to talk with her while she ate her supper. Every day Beauty liked more and more things about him. His good common sense, his honesty and thoughtfulness. In every book she selected from the vast bookcases, she always found a special little note for her, beautifully written in gold. She looked forward to his visits and often arrived early at the table, waiting impatiently for the clock to strike 9. She now welcomed the creak of the stair and his shadow in the firelight. The one thing Beauty dreaded was the final topic of their conversations. Before leaving, he always asked her to marry him, and she couldn't bear his sadness each time she refused him. "You upset me when you talk like this, beast," she said one evening. "I hate to see you so sad, but I can never marry you. I shall always be your friend. You must try to be content with that." "I am indeed a very lucky beast to have you as my friend. I am very ugly, I know, but I love you so much, and if you would promise never to leave me, my happiness would be complete." "That I can promise," said Beauty, "but you must allow me to visit my father. I have seen in the glass of the bookcase that he is ill with worrying about me. I think I will die with grief if you don't let me go to him." I don't want to cause you pain, Beauty, said the Beast. I will send you home to see your father. But I am afraid that once you are there, you may never return to me. You have my heart. Without you, I would die. Oh no, cried Beauty. I promise I will come back in 7 days. Very well, said the Beast. You shall be there tomorrow morning. All you need to do when you want to come back to me is to place this ring on the table beside you when you go to bed. Goodbye, Beauty. Then he walked slowly from the room and closed the door behind him, leaving behind a small golden ring. Beauty went to bed feeling deeply agitated. She felt guilty to have caused such anguish to her Beast, yet hoped expectantly she might soon see her father again. When she woke up next morning, she found herself in her old room in her father's house. Beside her bed was a trunk full of beautiful dresses. The Beast thought of everything. She put on the least showy of the dresses and ran to her father's room. He kissed and hugged his daughter again and again. He was so relieved to see her safe and sound. He called for her sisters and brothers. The brothers arrived first, brimming with joy at Beauty's return. Her sisters were slow in coming because they had found the trunk of fine dresses and were feeling ill with jealousy. When Beauty tried to give them some of the dresses, the trunk and all of its contents vanished. It seems the Beast wants you to keep them all, said her father. He must be very fond of you. With a flash, the trunk and dresses reappeared. And so Beauty told them about her life with the Beast and of her promise she had made to return to him in 7 days. While Beauty's father and brothers showed her all the work they had been doing on the farm, her sisters plotted against her. Why should she have so much when we have so little? If we can keep her here for more than 7 days, perhaps her Beast will get so angry he will gobble her up. For the rest of the week, they smothered Beauty with hugs and kisses. When the 7 days were up, they used the old onion trick again, and appearing completely heartbroken, begged her not to go. So Beauty agreed to stay for 1 more week. But on the 10th night, Beauty dreamed that she was back in the garden of the palace with the Beast lying at her feet, close to death. She woke suddenly, shocked and ashamed. She, who never told a lie, had broken her promise to one who had showed her nothing but love and kindness. She immediately laid her ring on the table beside the bed and fell asleep at once. When she woke up, she was in her bed in the Beast's palace. She dressed herself in the most beautiful of all the gowns he had given her, but of the Beast there was no sign. She heard the clock strike the hours slowly through the day and was seated at the table long before 9 o'clock. The clock struck 9, but still the Beast did not appear. Beauty felt sick with concern as she ran through the palace, through distant towers and turrets she had never entered before, calling for him. She was close to despair when suddenly she remembered her dream. Rushing outside into the garden, she found him laying by her favorite rose bush. Forgetting his ugliness, she threw herself upon him, her tear-streaked cheek pressed against the deathly cold cheek of the Beast. She felt a slight, slow heartbeat in his chest and bathed his face with water from the stream. At last, the Beast opened his eyes and gasped, You did not keep your promise to me. When you didn't return, I couldn't eat and my heart broke. Now I am dying. No, Beast, don't die. Live and marry me. I thought I felt only friendship for you, but now I know it is love. We cannot live without each other. As soon as she said that, the moon burst through the clouds and shooting stars and fiery comets crisscrossed the sky like a heavenly firework display. Beauty noticed nothing of this because her beast had vanished. In his place lay a handsome stranger, a prince who had been released from a wicked spell by Beauty's love. But where's my beast? Cried Beauty. Your beast is here before you, said the prince. Only you in the whole world saw my true self under my monstrous shape. You deserve far more than the golden crown I offer you. A heart of gold is more than enough for me, said Beauty, and they walked under the moon and the star-bursting sky. At the palace, as if by magic, they found Beauty's entire family there to share their happiness. The palace was now alive with servants and musicians. Beauty's marriage to the prince was all that a father could wish for his daughter. Of course, Beauty's sisters were still jealous of her, but each found suitors at the grand wedding party and made better marriages than they deserved. Her brothers looked after the prince's estates, and Beauty lived a life of great happiness, surrounded by her family and her beloved beast. The end. I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you for listening, and I miss you and I love you, and I can't wait to see you again. And keep reading.